Here's another book I was recently reading. This is a book that I have not finished.
This is a book that I have not finished.
Oh, Romans 12:2. Hail Kurgan. Yes, Romans 12:2. I think you should finish the books before you review them, man.
All right. So, this is going to be a more official and complete review of the book Reclaiming the Catholic Church by Giuseppe Filotto, aka the Kurgan. I did finish it finally. So my apologies. Kurgan is right. I shouldn't be throwing out reviews for books that I haven't quite finished. And I honestly, I apologize. I made a kind of a statement about this book, though I will say not much has changed in my previous little mention on another video and now. But I've read every single page of this book now. I'm definitely not going to be reviewing books that are not completely read. But yeah, so I've got a lot of notes here. And you don't have to look at the screen. It's really more audio. It's really more helpful for me to kind of keep my talking points in order. And then I'm going to go into more discussion stuff that has to do with the topic, but not necessarily a review of the book because it got me really thinking about a lot of things. So one, this is a long book, right? So Giuseppe has a lot of books, I guess maybe 5-6 books out there. I don't have all the other ones. I just have the ones that have to do with Christianity, and I have Systema, and I have not finished Systema. But this book really should be paired up with Believe. If you haven't read Believe, which is honestly more like a long essay, you should. It's a perfect introduction to this book. This book is like the nitty-gritty details of his ideas in Believe. So one thing I will say, there are a lot of links in this book, and they're kind of more like rabbit holes. Every time he gives you a link, it will take you down to an either archived website or another website, which is going to lead you to more things. So they're all kind of like rabbit holes. If you get the paperback, which I got, you'll have to manually enter those links into your computer if you want to do the research. If you get the ebook, which could be gone tomorrow, could be removed from Amazon at any time and taken out of your Kindle library, you'll at least be able to quickly look at the links. I personally don't like ebooks for the most part because of how fickle and how quickly they can be taken away by Amazon without even notifying you. And if you go back to the other video where I mentioned a number of books, including this one, I stopped reading this book in the hospital. We were having our second baby. We were there for maybe 4 days. And I brought this book with me to the hospital. This was the book that I brought, for downtime. There wasn't a lot of downtime. And I was right in the section about the Alta Vendita, which is like the Freemasonic Italian secret society that has infiltrated and has been slowly subverting the Catholic Church for a few centuries, according to the book. I started getting bored with all the different names, and I just couldn't follow it. And maybe I was distracted, maybe I was in the hospital and more focused on having that baby, but I couldn't like keep up with all the Italian names. It was like this Italian guy, that Italian guy, and I was like, and even as an Italian, I should be more respectful, but I kind of lost interest at that point. But to be fair, like I said, we were having a baby. I was very distracted. And then I ended up reading other books, which you've seen me do reviews on, and then I was politely called out by the Kurgan just the other day, and I was like, he's fucking right. I gotta put down everything else I'm reading and finish this book. So I did that. It's done. It's now back on my shelf, and it will hang out there until I lend it out to someone because I have read it. The book really comes down to one argument, and that is from the code of the 1917 Pio Benedictine canon law, which is another book that I did pick up, Canon 188, Part 4, which is basically if you have committed a heresy, you are out of the Catholic Church right then and there, No council, no court hearing, no no court martial, no like discussion about it. If you are a heretic and you commit a heresy, you are out. It doesn't matter what level you are. If you're the Pope, if you're a bishop, if you're a cardinal, if you're just a town priest, the second you do that, you are out. So just about every argument and counter argument that come up in this book are supposedly demolished by that argument. It works for me, guys. The only time they edited canon law was apparently in 1983, but by then, according to Canon 188.4, that was all done by heretics of the Catholic Church. We're going to get into more of that later, because there is a section of this book where he basically lays out all the documents of Vatican II and what their premises are. And my goodness, I'm just going to say it. If you're a Novus Ordo Catholic and you believe that Muslims are going to heaven because they believe in God, even though they do not believe in Jesus, they do not believe Jesus is God, they do not believe Jesus is the Son of God, they do not believe in his resurrection. If you think that Muslims are going to heaven, you're not just not a Catholic, you're not a Christian. You are not a Christian, okay? I had no idea that the Catholic Church was peddling these kind of heresies. Well, actually I do, and I'll tell you why down below, or I should say in a few minutes when I scroll down on my notes here, but this shit pissed me off. It actually made me pretty upset, and just so you guys know, I'm not a Catholic. I am a non-denominational Christian. That's it. I recite the Apostles' Creed. That's basically it, and I do my best to live by a lot of the ways that we're told to live in the Bible, but I'm not a Catholic, at least not right now. The Kurgan does suggest a lot of reading, which he has done in his YouTube channels, which I've watched a lot of his videos. So, I do agree. I read Harold Lamb's book of Iron Men and Saints. It was great, truly inspiring, to be honest. I'm not going to talk much about it because I already did a review, but get the Kindle version if you want pictures. God's Battalion, I ordered it, so I'll be reading that possibly next, but in keeping with finishing books, I should probably finish Logos Rising and review that next. There are a lot of essays in this book as well, which I really like. So the Quo Primum, but particularly the Mystical Body, which is how the book actually ends. He concludes his own writings maybe 50 pages or 60 pages before the book ends, and the end of the book is the appendix filled with these essays. The Mystical Body is probably like a 30-page essay. It's really nice. It's very concise, very clear instructions on how to be a Christian. Would I bind this book in leather with shiny tipped pages? Yes. What I would like to see is believe added into the beginning of this book if it was going to be re-released in a leather bound version. It's not going to come out on Castalia because we know that Vox doesn't do theology, but it'd be kind of nice, and I would pay a couple $100 to upgrade my current copy to a leather bound one, maybe with white leather, if there's such a thing, with a big red cross on it, and gold tipped pages. That seems kind of nice. Put believe in the beginning of it, and believe should be the introduction to reclaiming, and of course include the essays. Like, just all that stuff is really good. He's got one negative review on Amazon, and it's from someone who clearly didn't want to keep an open mind to the Sede Privationalist arguments. He just goes down his throat with some bullshit. I didn't really like the negative review. You can find it on Amazon. I think it's a good book, folks. And I know a lot of people on Social Galactic have beef with the Kurgan. They don't like the Catholicism. They don't like the arguments. But I think it's very worth reading, if only to see how corrupt the, quote, Novus Ordo Catholic Church, end quote, has become. So let's talk about some of the discussions. Right, so Muslims are saved. When I read this, I literally, my jaw dropped. That a Catholic body of priests and the Pope and cardinals will get together and agree that a group of people who happen to believe in Yahweh are saved, though they reject the resurrection, They reject the Son of God. They reject the Trinity. They reject that Jesus is God. They reject the Holy Spirit. And they literally believe in the visions of a madman who had a hallucination in a cave, most likely done by the devil himself. That's what their entire religion is. To believe that they are saved because they happen to believe in Yahweh is like the most heretical thing I probably read in the entire book. And on that note, I'm going to skip down here a little bit. I've been to some masses in the last few years. I only became a Christian in 2018, in May. May 2018 was when I was baptized. And I went to a cathedral in Oakland, California. I went to a church in Oakland, California, and I went to another church in Oakland, California for Mass. The cathedral was a very large mass gathering, maybe 200 people there. It's a very big cathedral on the lake there, and very basic. I didn't hear any kind of things that sounded non-Christian to me. Then I moved to another part of the town, and I happened to live across the street from a Catholic church. So I went in there for Mass one day, and I shit you not, the priest's sermon had to do with taking advice from 7 and 12-year-olds about the proper sexuality in America, as in, we are bigots, we should not be against gays and transgenders, and the kids know what's up, and we should listen to them. It was so fucking unbased. It was so disgusting to hear that from a Catholic church that I left. I never went back to that church. Down the street, I happened to discover it was a Latin Mass. It was traditional. And I will say I never asked the priest outright what he felt about Vatican II or the Pope. So I can't tell you if it was a true Sede Mass. But the dude was based. His sermons were the complete opposite of the transgender gay sermon from up the street. This guy was all about talking about how liberals were ridiculous and to stay away from SJWs and all the things that they say. And this guy was German, so he was speaking Latin with a heavy German accent. I really liked him. I ended up moving to another state, if you follow my videos, and I think the priest moved on to another parish in another state as well. Previously, with my mother-in-law, I went to a Mass in Arizona, incredibly Novus Ordo, singing songs like In Excelsis Deo, and the priest's sermon, once again, was heretical. And he was talking about how we needed to protect Muslims, how we needed to defend them, we needed to let them in our country because they believe in the same God as us, blah, blah, blah. No, they don't. We believe in Jesus Christ. They believe Jesus happened to be a prophet, but that the final prophet is some madman who fucks little girls. That's what they believe. I honestly, like, these people, like I said, I think if you truly believe in the legitimacy of Vatican II, why do you even call yourself a Christian? If you believe Vatican II is legitimate and that Muslims are saved, why not just go be a Muslim? Why not just go be a Buddhist? Are Buddhists saved too? Are the fucking Roman Stoics saved now? Is everyone fucking saved because they're good or some bullshit? This is probably the most controversial video I've ever made because it goes well beyond the topic of a book review. But anyway, it made me upset, right? Look at my name. Look at my YouTube name. It's Romans 12:2. Do not conform to the pattern of this world. Vatican II clearly does exactly that. It conforms everything to the pattern of modern times, to the pattern of Americanism, to the pattern of communism. And America was formed by Freemasons. So, yeah, the Novus Ordo Catholic faith is not Catholic at all. It's not Christian at all. There are better faiths you have a better chance, in my opinion, of being saved if you're actual Eastern Orthodox or even, a based Protestant. Probably not a Presbyterian, but if you're like a true Baptist or a true Methodist, you probably have a better chance of being saved than this bullshit faith of the Novus Ordo. I'm going to have to stop ranting about this at some point. I did read the entire John Saul's part. Kurgan says, like, you don't need to, but I did. It was good. I liked it. I read everything. I didn't skip over anything. Kurgan says in the book, like, skip over this, skip over that if you want to. I didn't. I read every page. Let's see. Trailer park popes. I wanted to touch on this. If you go down into my video, you're going to see that maybe like a year ago when I first moved to this other state, Nevada, I looked up on Kurgan's website if there was a Sede priest or parish nearby, and there was one in a 2-hour drive, and it was all the way in the desert. And I didn't realize that back then that I probably was a trailer park pope. I mean, not a pope, but definitely a trailer park parish. It literally was in a trailer park. These people did not have running water. I think even the electricity was questionable because I didn't see power lines. It was like really in the middle of nowhere, and there were trailers. And right across the street was where I parked was this, parish. The building was very run down, but it was clearly a church. And they even blocked off the driveway with pallets. Like they didn't want people driving to the church. I don't know that it was open. And shame on me for not contacting them before. I just felt like, hey, I'll take a drive. I got nothing to do. And it was fun. And I did do that. But if you go down into my videos, somewhere there is the visit to the Sede Provationalist Church or whatever. Very much a trailer park experience, a trailer park church. I don't think it was a pope because I don't think this guy was declaring himself a pope. But there's a whole section in the book about trailer park popes, which I found kind of interesting. There was a line about wearing battle-scarred plate armor to a cocktail party, and I would like to do that. I think that would be pretty cool. Yeah, I just want to see another debate, and I don't want to see the Kurgan versus Jay Dyer because I don't trust Jay Dyer, but I've seen the schism picture where it's the Ortho tradition that's the original church, and the Catholic thing is a schism, and then it's the Catholic church that's the original, and the Ortho is a schism. I pretty much would lean probably towards the Catholic church being more legit, but I would love to see a really good debate, one that has me scratching my beard. Kurgan, I did see a line on page 421. It said something like, avoid all books published before 1958. I think you meant to write, avoid all books published after 1958. And then I had a question about the Eastern Orthodox cross and why there were extra bars in it, but I Googled it. Don't really need to talk about that in this video. And then my question to the Kurgan, and I don't want to necessarily start a discussion that's going to create angst, but I feel like in one of your more recent videos I heard you say no one is savable unless they're Sede Provationists. If you're a Christian, the only Christians on earth are Sede Provationists, so that it would include orthos, prots, non-denoms. Everybody else is not going to be saved. I don't fault you for this. I don't want you to think that I'm super upset, because I'm not. I like that you are very clear and you are very direct in what you say. But Vox Day, we're all kind of part of his community, right? Social Galactic. We all more or less read his books. He's kind of brought us all together in a sense. He identifies as non-denominational. I think he identifies as a Nicene Creed Christian. Do you believe that he is going to hell because he's not a Sede Provationist? I'm genuinely curious, and maybe you do, and that's fine if you do, but I am curious. Anyway, this is well beyond the scope of a book review. This book very much got me thinking, typing out notes. It was a great read. I would recommend it. I would recommend you read it with an open mind. I myself was an adult convert at the age of 33, so I don't have 32 years or 33 years of, this is the kind of Christian I was, and this is the kind of Christian I'll always be. Bias. A lot of people, like the book says, would have to have an identity crisis. So be very careful when you read this, because it's going to challenge maybe potentially all the things you thought you knew about Christianity, Protestantism, I will say the book doesn't have a whole lot about Protestantism, unless I read this wrong. I mean, it definitely mentions it a few times. It mentions the ortho, but like the book is very much focused on the heresies of Vatican II and the Freemasonic and communist infiltration of the Catholic Church. I would love to see a whole book on Kurgan's take on Martin Luther. I know you don't like Luther. I'm not exactly a huge fan either, if, you know, he is just a nun fucker. But, yeah. Highly recommend this one, folks. It's $30 because it's huge. It's a tome. Yeah. I mean, I could see it bound in leather right next to my Catechism of the Council of Trent and my Dewey Rames Bible, both of which happen to be black with gold trim. This would be nice. This would be nice. Nice little addition. Anyway, all right, I think that's enough of my rant and discussion. Kurgan, thanks for calling me out on not finishing it and getting me to finish it. And, yeah, you guys have a good one.